So as much as I would have liked to have stayed faithful to Slice Engineering, unfortunately they don't make a heat break for the Ender 3 V3 SE hot end. It's using the same heat break as any other Creality Sprite-based machine, but unfortunately the only available version that they have is their G2, which is about 2-ish millimeters too long for this machine. So in order to use it, I would have had to have moved the CR Touch, and I would have had to do a bunch of stuff. So I've got this nano-coated bimetal heat break from Polisi3d that I got off of Slamazon. And I'm going to put this in and I'm going to run some tests, and hopefully it does just as good a job as the Slice Engineering break. Take it out of the bag and look at it. Let me see if I can zoom in. It's not a bad looking heat break. It's basically the one that they offer where you see the copper up here and the titanium down here. But this has a new nano coating that's supposed to be more better. So we're going to put this in and find out. Realistically, my biggest concern with these machines is that it's able to print PETG effectively, and I've had nothing but great results with the Slice Engineering heat breaks. So I really hope that the Polisi3d is almost as good, if not as good, because I'm to a point now where I'm running PETG and I'm getting out almost zero stringing, maybe 1 or 2 wisps of stringing in a 4.5, 5 hour print. So we will see if the Polisi3d is as good or if it's a piece of crap and it's going back to where it came from. Start off by removing the 3 screws on the outside of the fan shroud and rest it on the X-axis gantry rail to keep it safe and out of the way. I'm going to remove the extruder from the carriage so I can replace the PTFE tube inside of the machine with some Capricorn tubing that I have. This step isn't necessary, but it's good for some peace of mind. Just be mindful of the wires on the left-hand side of the assembly due to the fact that the CR Touch is attached to the extruder body and it does tend to get in the way. Next, remove the silicone boot from the hot end, turn the machine on, and set the temperature to 180 degrees to remove the nozzle. Raise the Z up high enough to get your wrench underneath safely and hold the block with another wrench to prevent it from spinning. A 20mm wrench or even an adjustable wrench will work. Cool the machine before removing the nozzle completely, or you can just #YOLO it like I did. I used a Slice Engineering nozzle torque wrench for all of my nozzle swaps. So far, I've yet to experience the blob of death by using it. Turn the machine around so you can get access to the set screw holding the heat break in place and loosen that. You don't have to remove it, just crack it free. Remove the 2 screws underneath that hold the heater block to the heatsink. Crack the set screws that hold the thermistor cartridge and heater cartridge in place and remove the assembly. There is boron paste on the thermistor that kind of glues it in place. I was able to push mine out with an Allen key from the opposite side. For some reason, it seems like these companies insist on using Loctite on the threads for the heat break, and it may interfere with screwing the new heat break in place. I took an M6 button head cap screw that I had laying around and ran that into the heat break side of the block a few times to try and clean out the threads. A spare nozzle would probably work just as well in this type of situation, but it did take a little bit to get those threads cleaned. When installing the heat break, you basically just screw the nozzle in until it bottoms out and then back it out 1/2 to 1 full turn and then install the heat break through the other end and snug it down finger tight. Final tightening is done with the nozzle at temperature. Once again, I'm using the Slice Engineering boron nitride thermal paste on the heat break as well as the heater and thermistor for better heat transfer. I've put this on all of my machines and it seems to do a very good job, although I haven't tested otherwise. One nice thing about this hot end is that the old heat break had a metal bottom, even though it's lined with a tiny piece of PTFE, meaning that the existing tube is the proper length for the new heat break as well. Unfortunately, I was going to replace the PTFE tube, but I couldn't find the length of Capricorn tube that I had, so I'll just put the old tube back in. Reassembly is very simple. Reattach the 4 screws to secure the extruder in place, put the silicone sock back on the heat block, and reattach the fan shroud. Now is also a good time to bring the nozzle up to temperature and snug it down for final torque. And then always make sure you do a PID tune after you replace something this critical. In case you're not familiar, in order to get to the PID control, just go under the Control tab, cursor down until you see Temperature, go to the Auto PID menu, and then here you set your bed and nozzle temperature for what you want your PID tuning to be at. You press the button once to set the temperature, you press it again to start the actual test. Now that that's finished, I'll run the same boron test cube that I've been running for the last couple of days. And now if we look here at the two cubes side by side, the one on the left being the most recent, we can see that there is a little bit of an improvement in overall print quality, especially on a couple of these faces where you could see these, I guess they're striations if you want to call them that, these lines that get generated in the layers from this filament. It's the exact same filament, but this one has a lot less of that. I can't even explain. It's like almost like a hologram kind of look. There's a lot of reduced salmon skin in this area right here. So overall, the general quality of the print is better with the Polisi3d brake. So I'm pretty happy with the results of that. So my takeaways on the Polisi3d nano-coated heat brake are that it is pretty easy to install. It only takes a couple of minutes to get it up and going. And then with PID tuning, it'd probably take you about 20 minutes or so. It is relatively inexpensive. It currently sits at about 18 bucks on Slamazon. Yes, there are cheaper alternatives, but again, I'm not really very trusting of the bog standard copper and titanium heat brakes. I've seen too many issues with the $6 ones to ever trust myself to buy one or ever tell anybody to buy one. I will steer them away from those as much as possible. The overall build quality of this brake actually did look very good, so I can't knock them for that, and I'm pretty happy with the performance thus far. It does improve the overall print quality. As you could see in the example, there's less striations or hologram effect of that filament that I was using. There's less salmon skin, and overall it just seemed to be a better option. I'm a bit upset that manufacturers still use these PTFE line heat brakes because the marginal price difference should not be the main deciding factors of whether or not to use one, because there is PTFE off-gassing that can create toxic fumes. With this type of heat brake, you do not have any PTFE off-gassing, so you don't have to worry about cranking your temperature up to a point where it will start to degrade your PTFE tube because there's not one to degrade. The nano coating is supposedly more better. I'm not 100% sure whether or not that is a bunch of marketing wank, but again, it does seem like the overall build quality is very good, and if that nano coating helps with any kind of jamming, clogging, or sticking potential in the future, then hey, it's worth every penny. Also keep in mind that for the Creality Sprite extruder, this is the same length heat brake as the stock one, so you don't have to mess with any of the settings. You don't have to worry about shimming your BL Touch or CR Touch or anything like that. It is a drop-in replacement, and when you do your Z offset, mine didn't change. So that is a little bit of a testament for the overall size being as accurate as it can be. So that'll about wrap it up for this one. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up. If you like this stuff and you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the channel. And if you know somebody who would be interested in this type of content, share it with a friend because sharing is caring. Check out my affiliate links in the description down below at no additional cost to you. It just puts a little bit of catnip in my kitty and it helps me with my future channel endeavors. If you're on that cesspool that is Facebook, join the group, Elegoo Neptune Series 3D Printers, Mods, Tweaks, and Improvements, where we offer 24-hour live chats and support, do the occasional giveaway, and blatantly abuse the everyone tag. But hey, at least we're not a spam fest of 3D artists like those other pages. If you haven't done so yet, check out my website at www.theferalengineer.com. It's just a whole bunch more of the same stuff, but it justifies the $12 a year I spend on the URL. And once again, thank you to all of my Catnip contributors, both past, present, and future. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon. But you know, it really is a shame that I couldn't find that piece of Capricorn tube that I had laying around. I know I've got it somewhere. I took the extruder off so I could swap out the PTFE tube with that piece of Capricorn. It's not going to be that big of a deal, but it just kind of bothers me that I couldn't find the damn thing. But you know, the more I think about it, oh boy. You son of a...